Welcome to the second of ETF2L Season 13 interview series where Premiership players are lined up before the one-man firing squad known as Admirable. Today we have the Premiership first-timer HYS of Nitrose in our sights. Any last words?
No last words.
Okay, I'm not actually going to shoot you, but this is going to be tough, man. I'm just warning you, psych yourself up mentally. Going to start you off with an easy one. Going to start you off with an easy one, alright?
Go for it.
Before we get things fully underway, I will first have to assess your TF2 fashionista credentials. What hats and miscellaneous items are you going to be sporting in the upcoming season?
I'm not bothered about all that stuff. I'm just going to wear probably the samurai hat for demo, I guess. No miscellaneous.
Oh, wow. Well, at least you make up for your terrible TF2 fashion sense by being an incredibly handsome young man in real life. Before I met you at I-46, I had you pegged as a bit of an oddball from our various online interactions, but I have to say I was pleasantly surprised.
What, am I going to be the next victim of the Crits Cast kissing sessions online?
Oh wow, that's supposed to be me hitting you with the heavy blows here. But I like to keep an open mind. Perhaps. Do you have anything to say to your female fans out there, Most handsome man alive, perhaps?
I wouldn't go that far, mate.
Nothing for the ladies, then. Nothing for the ladies. You're a taken man, aren't you?
I'm a taken man.
Say no more, then. Say no more. Okay, then. That pretty much died on its arse. We'll move on to the next question, which is Insomnia 46 seems to have been a breakthrough event for your team, at least in terms of getting some recognition from the competitive Illuminati, with Dunk predicting that Nitrose, and I quote, could be the silver dagger that takes down the Americans next time they cross the pond in his post-LAN write-up. How do you deal with that sort of hype? Are these new expectations creating an additional level of pressure that perhaps wasn't there before?
Simple answer to that, probably no. I don't think we don't really. I guess some players like Droso and they like to read around the scene, and I guess they take some of that to heart, and it means a lot to them. But I think most of us are sure enough for it not to mean that much. So I would say that there is no real pressure to us because, as you said previously, no one was really expecting anything from us because, arguably on paper, we have one of the weakest teams individually if you match player for player. So I guess that's a good thing. I've always preferred the underdog tag, if you like, associated with different teams, and we hope that will continue. We hope that won't. I guess that could make a difference to our team if people start seeing us as a big threat.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously this success isn't something that happens overnight. And I know you personally have been putting together teams in ETF2L for a few seasons now. But what is it about this current roster that clicks for you? What were the sort of key qualities that you focused on when assembling the new Nitrose roster at the start of the summer?
I think the first stint that I had to go with, where we were really trying, was obviously IDK, and obviously I had Droso was a member of that team, and he is again now. And obviously you make a lot of mistakes in the first lineups that you learn or after. I won't really name and shame any of those mistakes, but I guess it's hard to pinpoint it. I just look for people. Really, this team was kind of a bit of a fluke because we just had fun together. We just players that I knew of or players that I enjoyed their company. Just, I don't know, team play wise, it just seems to be something that clicks and work quite well together. There's no real, I don't know, just happened by chance, fluke.
So you think personalities are the most important thing to make sure there's no real clashes there and that people actually enjoy playing with each other? Is that the most basic level you want to achieve?
I think so. I guess the main thing that I've learned from building a few lineups that have broken down due to, I guess, university and falling behind in work there. I don't know. It's hard. In this case, it's just pure personality. I think that's why this team survives, and I think the key is just keeping people together. See that in so many lineups nowadays that have worked through the divisions. If same lineup together, it can progress.
Well, like, in terms of your individual players, you know, like what do you think they bring to the team? Like, obviously, I think Cyber is like an absolute beast in DM. He's pretty underrated.
I don't see him as being underrated. I think a lot of people think that Cyber is exactly that and that he's our carry player. I would depends from the perspective that you look at it from. Obviously, a lot of people perceive things very differently from looking outside in, but if you play with these guys every night, you know exactly what you're going to get from everybody. But Cyber is definitely one of the strong players of our team, and it's always been the case. Whichever pocket soldier has always been important to teams that I've built, I think, and they have to obviously flow well with the demo, which is of course my role. But yeah, Cyber is obviously, we had Wolf prior to that went on to 2 strong after with the previous Nitrose lineup, and that could have maybe gone somewhere as well, but because the players weren't available when we came back, we had to take the only player that was still there was Trax. That's why we built fresh, and obviously Cyber was quite a lucky find because a lot of people thought he should have stayed on demo, but I obviously disagree, and I think a few people would disagree with that now.
Yeah, what was the situation with Donut as well? Obviously, he had played in pretty much only French teams up until that point. I'd seen him on a few LAN games, you know, and I always thought he was a great off-classer as well as a good scout, you know. His spy play and stuff was quite sensational. How did he sort of come into your team, or how did you become aware of him?
Well, I kind of pursued Donut for a while, and his loyalty was in part of LDLC. But he was obviously a clear carry for that team for quite some time, and he doesn't have really any higher level experience, but I always find that I play well with one scout that plays more defensively and one scout that plays aggressively, because it sort of complements my aggressive style. So it was kind of just that he became available, and he obviously has a good connection with Dro, so Donut doesn't have the best comms, but they have a whisper key set up and they play quite well together, and he's been constantly improving his comms throughout, so it's just by chance he became available and we kind of pounced on it.
So they whisper in French and you're Mumble?
Yeah, they have a whisper key on Mumble and they talk to each other throughout the game, and Droso kind of speaks for Donut at times, but Donut's getting better and better.
That's pretty cool. Well, sort of coming back to what Dunk said, I guess, it seems that fame can be a little bit fickle, as after your recent defeat to Crack Clan in the Process One Night Cup, there was a comment there from Dunk saying, certainly not the Nitrose I saw at I-46. Do you think Nitrose deserve to be in the Premier Division in Season 13, or are you just a LAN hype team?
To address the first thing, if you come back to me with that last part of the question, I don't think that's very fair, because I think Cece has only got stronger. When you look at them in the last season of Prem, they didn't exactly play bad, and that was with all due respect to the players I'm going to mention. Obviously with Reveril, Pole and Taps, that's a lot weaker team than you've got right now when you put people like Tweak and Mini Moose in there. So, I don't know. To me, the Crack Clan only got a lot stronger now, and they're going to be a contender for the Prem, so to go 2-4 with a Merc Scout playing who's barely ever played with us, I guess, wasn't too bad. That's our perspective.
Yeah.
So I guess, what was the second part of the question?
Do you think Nitrose deserve to be in the Premier Division in Season 13, or are you just a LAN hype team?
I don't think we're a LAN hype team. I mean, that was a few people's first LAN experience, and I still feel like we didn't really do ourselves justice. If we'd have gone past TCM, it would have been a lot better. Like maybe we could have gone on even further. But we've known for a while. We've only been playing quite casually, and we've coped with a lot of the top teams. So we were always confident. But like what I remember, Cadus made a comment on Pirate Radio about us getting smashed at LAN and big boys stepping up and all this sort of thing. And although it's hard because it's online results and they don't mean a lot when it's PCWs, I was kind of quietly confident, but I didn't want to put that pressure on the team. So to answer it simply, I don't really think we're a LAN hype team. We've been performing summer, just playing 2 nights a week, so we felt like we could be there. We feel like we deserve that spot.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. And taking all things into account, what are your aspirations for the team in season 13? Do you think you have a shot at the anonymously donated $2.5 grand and the TT Esports swag?
Probably not. I don't really think we had the right preparation going into this season, because we only had like 2 nights practicing for I-46, and we didn't play much like that month at all. Like I say, because we were playing with Kun for a while up to the event, and then we had people off left, right, and centre. I was pretty busy as well. And then we haven't, like I say, we've only been playing 2 or 3 nights a week, and that's with mixed rosters just the last couple of weeks, since obviously we came back from the event. So I don't really fancy our chances, if you like.
I've heard that you guys are only really playing 2 nights a week. Are you planning to step it up, or is that just literally the only time that you have?
Well, we discussed it as a team, and we kind of agreed that we didn't want to play any more than 3. Like, it suits our players down to a T, and it keeps us motivated. It gives us a disadvantage, I suppose, over those that can play 4 or 5. But that's, like I say, the team's never been about crazy DMs, so I don't think that affects us as hard as it would other teams.
So you prefer quality over quantity? There definitely is a risk of burning out if you're going super keen and playing 5 nights a week.
I think so. In our case, we've always been happier playing less. So yeah, we could maybe step it up a little bit from that, but like I say, we're not deathmatch players. I think the people that are more deathmatch orientated, they need to play regularly, they need to stay on the top of their game aim wise, and our team's more about coordination than it is about aim. So not much of an issue for us.
Well, how do you think the other teams are going to fare this season? Who do you see as perhaps your closest rivals, or which team is most likely to fold?
Our rivals, personally, I guess, obviously Punchline's a big one because they hate a couple of our members. They like that French rivalry, even though the majority of the team isn't French from Nitrose. There's obviously a strong rivalry between the 2 teams. So they're obviously one of our rivals, but I guess the other teams like QN, Deserto, obviously Quad's team that came into it, Chinese Mafia, those I guess will be the teams we're scrapping for points with.
Tell me more about this French beef. Was there any drama at LAN? Obviously Punchline were there and Nitrose were there. Anything happen? Any dirty looks exchanged across computer screens?
Well, we wanted to play for the 7th spot with Punchline, but they didn't want to play a match. I'm not sure. I don't want to stir shit, really, so to say the least, I guess. I think it was felt by some people that perhaps they didn't want to play because if they were to get beaten, it would have been quite horrible for like Punchline to handle, but we were quite keen on playing. So I guess that's something a lot of people probably didn't know. But I don't know, there was nothing really, not much off at LAN, obviously. Like, I knew Tech because I played with him previously with Trax, and I always saw his potential. He was like always going to be a good player. He's obviously known as a bit of a DM beast now, so it was nice to get to meet him and some of the other guys. But there wasn't really any trouble at all. Like, I just know that Droso and in particular, maybe Donut, they don't really get on with the other French guys, and vice versa. There's some sort of hate there.
Yeah, I think a lot of people hate Droso, but he's a lovely guy.
Yeah, he's a top bloke.
I think it's good that there's more drama and a bit of beef in the Premiership. You know, it makes it interesting. I think that's one thing the Americans have over us. But beyond ETF2L, are Nitrose planning to attend any future lands, maybe in France? Like, what sort of relationship do you have with the Nitrose organisation?
We have a fantastic relationship with Nitrose, and we were obviously happy they could support us, and we obviously want to extend our thanks to them, because it's quite rare nowadays, and there's not really a lot to gain for organisations to support TF2 in many respects, because the prize money just simply isn't there, and when you split it between 6 players and then an org takes a cut, it really isn't financially a brilliant game to put money into, although I would obviously welcome more money and things like that. I can understand, so really we're quite lucky with them, and we discussed the potential of obviously like top French lands like Games Assembly and things like that. We also kind of looked into, I think, was it Dreamhack? There was some things flying around about Dreamhack, so we did look into things like that, but there's nothing really that solid there.
but you would be, at least in theory, interested in continuing to improve upon your land performances.
We obviously want to improve. We just can't dedicate the sort of time to improve at a rate that I guess everyone would like to, ourselves and other people including. Obviously want the community to improve, the teams that are in it.
Yeah, that's fair enough. So just gonna come into the last two questions here, I guess. What do you think about the ETF2L's move towards a stricter, more professional rule set in the Premier Division? And do you think these same rules should apply to all divisions?
That's difficult. I would answer the latter part of that question saying that no, I don't think it should apply everybody. Like, especially since a lot of ETF2L is composed of or made up of lower division teams, and some of those are not all as keen or motivated by being at the top as others, so it'd probably be a little bit unfair to enforce that on others. But obviously I welcome that approach, especially for us. It's important to me because then I can get like the league games out the way, and there's not as much faffing around as a leader in terms of organisation, because people have to do it, like they've got to take the wild card or organise within a certain date, getting defaulted to be played, so you don't stack up all these games and like that. It's obviously good for me.
I'll be devil's advocate here a bit. Like, why should teams in the lower divisions have it any easier? Surely when you sign up to the league, you're not you shouldn't be taking it lightly. You know, you should be expected to play your games around the time that they're scheduled. You know, there's other teams out there too that you're impacting on, like whether it's to do with scheduling or fake nicks and stuff like this. Why can't people just all to be expected to behave like decent people? Do we have to?
I can see your point of view, and I obviously take that on board. I just think that some of these scenarios are very different, because obviously Prem in Division 1 they play for prizes where the other divisions they don't. So in some respects you have to say make it fair for all divisions then, and everyone have the same prize available and all that sort of thing in order for that stuff to all be level.
Yeah, it was actually interesting, and I'm not sure if you heard it, but Darren's interview, he said that the prize money, like that amount, didn't really mean a lot to him. Would it be better if we perhaps distributed it across divisions? Would that be useful?
I don't know, it'd just be even less, wouldn't it? If it's already not that significant, then it would be even less significant, if you get what I mean. Like, I think that's still something to play for. The prize money is still something to play for. It's just not, when you divide it by 6, it just simply is not a lot of money, really. In terms of win the full amount, that's a bit different, I suppose, like just to one player. But it is still good that it's there, and I'm glad that somebody's donated that, and it gives. I do think it does give motivation and something to play for some teams. It's better than a kick in the teeth at the end of the day. It's nice to come away something for your efforts.
Yeah, so absolutely.
I'm pleased that it's there, but obviously we're not really. I don't really think we're contenders for that money, so yeah, it's different for us, I guess.
Well, we're coming up to the 19-minute mark here, so I've got one last attempt to try and, bait some drama out of you. I'll start off by saying you're, of course, an ETF2L anti-cheat admin, am I right?
That's correct, yeah.
Would you like to do any finger-wagging and warn those naughty players out there not to cheat? Perhaps even bust out some bans right here, right now? Is there anyone you want to out live on air?
I don't think that's going to happen. That's going to sound, but nah. There's nothing really to say about that.
Put on your stern adult voice and say, "Don't be cheating now, children."
Don't be cheating, children.
There you go. Wow. Any opinion on the whole Anakin drama, Matt and Tarkus getting banned? This whole thing. How did the ETF2L anti-cheat team say it? Was it just cut and dried? Obviously, you got the bans out quickly, but was there any debate there?
We just made sure that the evidence that we were provided with was obviously legit, and obviously a lot of people had some opinions about it being able to be faked quite easily and kind of things. We just made sure that it was obviously kosher and that we weren't just banning people that from fabricated evidence, if you like. So, but no, I think obviously there was some debate about whether players should be banned if they haven't played in league games and all this sort of thing, and obviously my opinion that I put across was that if you're cheating, regardless, like if you manage to evade the system and not get a VAC banned, players that do get VAC banned, they're not necessarily cheating on league games, and they get a 1-year ban as a result. So the other players deserve the same treatment. It's obviously a shame because some of those players probably didn't cheat in the league, but if you're stupid enough to load it up in the first place, then you deal with the consequences, I guess.
Yeah, it's just a lot easier to enforce that way. It has to be zero tolerance in my eyes. I absolutely agree with you. But I'll just wrap things up here. I'll give you a chance to maybe shout out your sponsors, or tell someone you love them.
I guess just a shout out to my team. Like, obviously, in some respects, shout out to Evil Moon as well, because obviously he stayed with us. He kind of had an offer to go with the Finnish lineup with Dan. Obviously, they tried to take him for that lineup, and he obviously decided to stay with us. And I guess that's kind of what our team's all about, is that friendship and putting that ahead of other things. And obviously, just to clarify as well, a comment that Dar made about the try hard thing, that's not really the case with our team. Well, obviously, we could play well and finish in a decent position, or we could flop and still come all the way in the bottom. It's one of them things. It's like one game in a season. It's not really showing the same level of consistency. So it depends how we play. But yeah, just obviously shout out to my team and the sponsors, people at Nitrose that have always been behind us. And obviously shout out to all those at I-46 as well. It's nice to meet everyone.
That's beautiful, man. That's beautiful. I've got a tear rolling down my cheek right now. But I will say, I've been Admirable, you've been HYS, and this has been the second of our E2F2L Season 13 interview series. Stay tuned for more.